Okay, so I'm thinking of a coming-of-age tale about an awkward middle school girl.
Oh, those are great. Those are really popular right now.
Yeah, they're all the rage now with Pin 15 and everything.
Such a fantastic TV show.
Yeah.
Well, pitch it to me. I want to hear it.
Okay. So this 7th grade girl, she has a family that really just seems to hate her.
Aw.
She's got a younger sister who's the golden child and an older brother who's really smart and is going to go to a good college, and she just gets ignored.
Oh, that's sad. Well, do they, in the end, do they learn to appreciate her?
No, not really.
Okay.
They kind of just keep on hating her.
Oh my gosh. Well, is there anyone in the town that does like her? Like a friend or anyone at school?
Well, there is this kid at school named Brandon who bullies her.
Oh.
But it's because he has a secret crush on her.
Oh, okay. Well, how bad is the bullying? Is it like, oh my gosh, nerd? Or like, how far does it go?
Well, he literally tells her he's going to rape her.
Oh my God.
But he doesn't do it.
Okay. Well, does he apologize? Do they end up together in the end?
No, she gets no apology and he runs away, never to be seen again.
Okay. Well, this sounds like a really terrible story, and I feel really bad for this girl. Is there anything that makes me excited? Is there anything that's interesting that happens to any of the other characters that will make me root for this girl?
I mean, she gets to go to Disney World.
You just slayed the cat.
Damn right I did.
Slay the Cat. Slay the Cat. Podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Hear us talk your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
What's up, all you wiener dogs out there? You're listening to Slay the Cat, a movie podcast. I'm your host, Joey, alongside my co-host and wife,
Aaron, who is hot shit, but doesn't think that she's cold diarrhea. I don't know how to say that.
I like that line in the movie.
It was a really funny line.
Yeah. We are going to be talking about the 1995 film, Welcome to the Dollhouse. Mm-hmm. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, Aaron.
Me?
This movie is considered like hard to watch or disturbed. Did you think so?
I wouldn't say it's disturbing, but it is.
There's one scene that's kind of disturbing.
Oh yeah.
I would say.
Well, there's some tough parts in this movie for sure. I could see how if I was in middle school, my mom would not want me to watch this. Absolutely not. This is not appropriate for me to watch as a middle schooler. But it wasn't. They use a lot of language that is offensive. So
yeah, but a little more acceptable back in 1995, I would say.
Yeah, it was.
I'll talk about it more.
It was used a lot. Like these kind of words were used a lot in that time period. But still doesn't make it better.
Oh no, it does not.
But it was. There's some like the rape part that was tough. The whole thing with Brandon is very icky. She's like kind of going after this high school guy, and like he previously was with a girl that was her age. There's some inappropriate things happening in this movie, but I think it's all kind of truthful.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason I wasn't super offended by it, because I mean, honestly, that's some of the things that were happening. I'm like, that's very honest to what happens in actual middle schoolers. Yeah,
it is. It's disturbing for that. But I wanted to ask you, like, what are some other media? It can be a play, a music video, a book that you read that you're like, that disturbed me so much, I don't want to read it or see it ever again?
I can't really think of anything that I've been like, that is so offensive to me. I can't think of anything like that. I think
Well, it's not necessarily offensive. It just like it like we did The Fly on an early episode of our podcast.
it was just gross.
Yeah, but when I said I saw it when I was 8, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
watch it for many years after that because it was just too scary to me.
Yeah.
I finally watched it again when I was maybe a teenager, but
Well,
I'm talking about stuff like that. Something you're just like, I don't ever want to see that again.
a lot of I won't watch The Exorcism because that scared me a lot, especially being being raised Catholic.
Yeah, there you go. This is exactly what I'm
The
talking about.
Exorcism,
The Exorcist.
scared
Their
the
Exorcist, you mean?
The Exorcist.
Yeah, not the exorcism.
Whatever. Well, there was another one that we watched, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. All of them.
Oh, yeah.
All
Yeah, I
of
know
the
that one.
exorcist kind of movies. Those scare the shit out of me. Even still today, those scare me a lot.
Yeah, you're not the only one. There's a lot of Christian people who those movies scare.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
So those scare me.
Yeah.
I've noticed that I'm more comfortable watching things like that now. I'm not as scared, but I am still scared of it.
Right.
And I don't want to watch The Exorcism ever again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it plays on a real fear that I think religions put in people, and I think it's very unfair. I think it's one of the worst parts about organized religion. I don't think it's fair that they should put the fear of like going to hell in people and
I don't
being
think it's
inhabited
the fear. The fear is not going to hell. The fear is being possessed by.
Well, that's what I was just about to
yeah.
say.
Well,
Or that fear, right?
yeah.
Like
People do. There are people in religion that do put the fear of hell in people.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I was scared of hell, but I wasn't like. I don't know. All of it was just kind of scary.
Yeah. It's on purpose though.
Yeah.
And
totally.
I don't think that's a fair thing to do. I guess you could say I grew up in a Christian family, but we didn't practice. We didn't really go to church. But for a very brief time, when I was in middle school, and the first time I saw The Exorcist, I just thought it was boring. There was all this hype about it.
Didn't mean anything to you.
No, there was all this hype about it being the scariest movie ever made, and I'm like, what's scary about a demon inside a little girl? I
That could
understand what
happen
you
to
said.
you. Yeah.
It could happen to you, but I was not, since I didn't believe in
any
the
of that,
devil
yeah.
or demons, I was like, well, that won't happen to me, and she can't hurt me if she's tied to a bed in her house. It's not like,
Oh my God.
it's not like Jason.
With The Exorcist, so my cousin, you've been to my aunt's house. They have
Yeah.
these stairs, and the first time I watched it was at my cousin's house, the one with the stairs, and
Right.
I slept downstairs that night, and I remember waking up every like 10 minutes, just putting the covers over my head because I was scared that my cousin was gonna crawl down the stairs backwards.
God.
Yeah, it scared me so much. It was really terrifying. But I think that's different though because I was scared of every scary movie when I was a child.
Right.
Every scary movie, Chucky, and everything, Freddy Krueger, anything that I saw that was a horror movie, I was terrified of it. I had a lot of fear in me as a child.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I
but-
mean, I think that's totally normal.
Yeah, it was to a point where I couldn't sleep by myself.
Yeah.
So it was more than normal.
Okay.
It was an intense fear. I would have nightmares often too, but I don't know why I had such a. I don't know why I was so scared as a child.
Huh.
It wasn't until I was like 18 where I stopped being so scared.
Wow.
Yeah. I slept. This is something I tell people. I'm not scared to tell anyone about this.
I mean, you should be.
I slept with my mom until I was 18 in her bed because I was terrified of the dark. And
Yeah.
I was terrified of things around me.
I can't remember one night sleeping in my parents' bed.
Yeah.
Unless my dad, like, if my dad was on a business trip, which he was often, then it was okay. But no, my dad was not letting that happen.
If Joliet was so terrified of the dark that she was waking up screaming, would you let her sleep in our room?
I don't know. It would have to happen.
Yeah.
But I would like, no, she can't just sleep in our room night after night after night. Mm-hmm. There was a long time where she would come in our room at night. And I'm like, at some point she got too big, and I'm like, we can't all fit in this bed.
We got to get a bigger bed.
No.
We're going to need a bigger bed.
You're going to need a bigger bed.
That's what she said to us.
I see on the internet all the time people talking about like, oh, this movie was so disturbing I couldn't see it again, like Requiem for a Dream. You know,
I don't know that movie.
It's about a group of guys that start doing heroin, and bad things start to happen to them. And I saw it, and I was just like, okay, I mean, yeah, when you do a really hardcore drug like that, bad things happen to you. You know, there was one character on there. She was an old lady who started taking diet pills, and it messed her up. And I was like, well, I feel bad for her because she didn't know what she was getting into. Like, but the other characters who knew that they were doing heroin, it's like, okay, come on. I think probably the movie that I saw that was pretty disturbing to me and I don't want to see again is Dogville. You ever heard of that?
No, I've never heard of it.
I'm going to do it on this podcast, but we're going to save it for a special time because it's like 3 hours long.
Oh my gosh.
It's got Nicole Kidman in it, and there's a lot of disturbing stuff that happens in it. And then at the end, the way you feel at the end when this really bad thing is happening of like pleasure and glee, it makes you feel bad about yourself. And in a weird way, and I don't want to spoil it or give too much away, and I know you'll forget what I'm saying by the time we watch it.
Probably.
But when you watch it and you feel what I feel, you'll understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to watch this movie. But we'll get to it someday.
I can't think of a movie that makes me feel that kind of. I mean, I have feelings. I have lots of feelings about movies and plays.
I have feelings.
I'm Aaron,
guys. I have lots of feelings.
I'm not a psychopath.
I have plenty of activity in my prefrontal cortex.
No, like legit. When we watched My Girl, I cried. I have a lot of empathy.
Yes, you do.
I think the thing that
Jokes aside, you are a very empathetic person.
Maybe sometimes a little too empathetic. No, I don't think I'm too empathetic, but I am very empathetic. My family requires. My mom's a crier too. So, but I think whenever I think of media like movies, plays, television shows, there are disturbing things. I see disturbing things, but what is different now as an adult and watching them is knowing how to empathize with those people. And because some things that happen in this media does happen. And I watching this movie, people said this was disturbing.
Yeah, I've heard that this is, well, maybe not disturbing, but hard to watch.
But like some of this shit happened to me.
Well, that's
or
why
people I knew.
I think that's why they're saying that.
Yeah.
Is because this is happening to...
It hits on a really close note.
Yeah, it hits close to home. It either happened to you or you know people it happened to.
I know what I do not want to watch ever.
What?
I hate it. Shameless.
Oh, right. Yeah, we watched an episode or two.
It reminds me so much of where I grew up. I don't like it. The people in it, I hate them. They're icky and I hate it. Ugh.
Well, I think the main character, the dad, is a really bad person, but then the rest of them, the characters in it, are just affected by the poverty that they live in.
Yeah.
But still, like, I didn't like it because I just don't feel like vacationing in the lives of like people living in poverty. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's not a good feeling. But that's a little different than what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I think
because I could watch a movie that's like Shameless, but I don't want to watch. I don't want to tune into that every single week. So,
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But even with other movies that, like with The Fly, I didn't like it because it was gross. It grossed me out. But I would watch it again. It just was like the end part was just very gross.
Well, it's not that bad if you're an adult because it's just a sci-fi film. But I was like 8 when I saw it.
Yes, absolutely.
I was just using that as an example.
Yeah. There are movies now that I think about when I saw them when I was younger, which whenever I say I saw them when I was younger, I barely saw them because I had my eyes closed probably the whole time. But a lot of horror movies or scary movies, like there was a movie, it's called Darkness Falls.
Yeah, about the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. I remember my dad watched that movie and I remember hearing all of it, but I had my face into the cushions of the couch the entire movie. So I don't know anything that actually happens in it.
I bet you that I've never seen it, but I bet you if we watched it now, it's like that's a really tame movie.
I bet it is. But I was so freaking terrified.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I get it. Okay, so enough of this. Welcome to Dollhouse. You've never heard of it before we watched it the other day?
Never.
Didn't know anything about it.
I thought it was going to be some kind of reference to Ibsen.
Ibsen?
Yeah.
What is that, some sort of theater
It's
thing?
a playwright.
Oh, okay.
Henrik Ibsen. He wrote the Dollhouse. Is it called just Dollhouse?
Dollhouse? I don't know.
A Doll's House.
Okay.
And
Sounds
then there's a
interesting.
Dollhouse too. But it's not scary. It's about a woman. I mean, a lot of Ibsen plays. He did Hedda Gabler. I don't know if you've ever heard of Hedda Gabler.
I know Hedda Gabler.
So he did Hedda Gabler. He did.
A friend of mine that I worked at
Doll's
Blockbuster with was in a play. Oh, Rachel was in it too, I think.
In Hedda Gabler?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at St. Thomas University.
I was also in Hedda Gabler. But I thought it was going to be some kind of reference to Ibsen, but it's not. The idea of it is that she has this perfect dollhouse, but I mean, in the end, her husband was like, I can't remember. I haven't read it in forever.
So
She
you
leaves.
thought that was a reference to that play, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And you were wrong. There is no reference to anything in this movie?
No, there's not a reference
that
to
I
the play
missed?
specifically. But,
Okay.
I mean, the play in itself is a reference to, like, that perfect picture, outside world sees the perfect life, but inside the house is not picture perfect.
Yeah.
That's the point of the play, which is the same kind of point of this movie.
Right. Yeah, kind of. I first saw this movie. It came out in 1995, and I think I saw it when it was on video, and I was in middle school. Mm-hmm. So I was the age of the main character in this, and this movie very much upset me because middle school was very rough for me. Mm-hmm. It was. I would say that was probably the worst part of my childhood was middle school.
Yeah.
And I'm not
I think
saying
that's a lot of people.
I was just about to say, I don't think I'm special in that way. I think it's a very difficult time for everybody, not just one or two people. I think everybody. Middle school is such an awkward age because you're so fucking stupid and you've got all these hormones and you're just wrestling with a lot. And I was in middle school. I was depressed and like I was struggling with like the fact that I was atheist and I didn't even know what that was. Like I was like shedding one friend group and trying to get another group and go like it was just a really difficult, awkward time for me. And this watching this movie really made me feel shitty. And the way that ends with her like nothing getting better for her,
Yeah.
was just like, oh man, like I carried this around with me for a while.
Aw.
But oddly enough, movies like this make you realize, like, look, you're not alone. It can feel very lonely at times like that in your life.
Yeah.
But you see something like this and you go, well, somebody else is going through what I'm going through. Because, nobody else was telling me that they're having a hard time,
Yeah.
But I'm older now, and I know everybody does at that age. So I'm over it. I watch this movie now, and it's kind of funny,
Yeah.
to think back on.
There's definitely some funny parts in this movie.
Yeah, I mean the obviously the stuff that's difficult is still difficult.
It's still difficult, but there's things done in a funny way.
Yeah, but there's also like things that she says in the movie that she meant sincerely, and it's so funny. Like when that kid is running away from her, and she goes, "Wait, we still have more yodels left."
Yodels.
They're like just little candy bars.
Oh.
Like he gets mad at her and he's like, "I'm leaving," and then she's like, "Wait, we still have more yodels."
Oh.
And then the thing where he's like, "You think you're hot shit, but you're just cold diarrhea."
Yeah.
Like that's funny.
That was such a good line.
Yeah, and that's something you would say in middle school. And then also like when I was in middle school, I had never heard so many pejoratives for being gay. Because in middle school in the mid 90s, nobody was out of the closet.
Yeah.
There were no kids out of the closet. So all the boys were constantly calling each other gay in every way possible. People were even making up their own terms. So that hit very close home to me. Is there anything else in this movie? Or I know there is. Are there things that like really hit home to you when you were watching
Well, especially being a girl in that time kind of period.
Right.
It's very weird being a girl because like when he was like when that boy was bullying her and it was because he liked her, I was like, I mean, I could smell that a mile away because that's a ton of what boys do at that age. They're jerks to you, and then they're like, oh, well, secret, which, I mean, that's happened to me before. Like, oh, well, I like you, but it has to be a secret. That's happened like once to me. And it's like, no, F you.
Yeah. They want to like have a thing with you,
And then
but
I found out,
they don't want anybody to know.
Then I found out that person told everyone that we kissed. And it was this whole big, like, they were like yelling. Yeah, it was a thing.
Oh yeah, I remember the girls in middle school. They were so brutal about like gossip and saying things behind that I was like, I'm so glad I'm a boy. At least
It was the boy that told his friends, and his friends yelled at me, or
well,
not yelled.
I'm not surprised, but I remember how brutal the girls were, and I'd be like, well, at least the boys will like beat each other up and call each other names, but they do it to your face and it's over. The girls they were so brutal about their gossip, and
which this doesn't have a lot of that in it. Like the girls don't really. The girls are. This is mostly boys in this movie.
Well, I think it was written and directed by a man.
Yeah. Well, majority of the characters in this movie are boys. Dawn is the main character.
Yeah.
But
almost everybody she interacts with
are male.
Yeah.
Her brother. There's her mom and her sister, but those are the only two other women that actually have any kind of significance in the movie at all. All of the other females, there's like a teacher for like a split second. There's like some cheerleaders for a little bit. It's
There's that girl that bullies her in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, there is that girl. But it's not like
her best and only friend is a boy. Mm-hmm. She's got an older brother who she talks with quite a bit. Mm-hmm. She likes a high school guy. She's got that bully.
That's a boy.
Yeah. It is. It doesn't really deal with like the girl social aspect of it.
Which it is. Girls gossip so much. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Which this doesn't really deal with, but like it does deal with that kind of I remember being in middle school and just being like, I want to be in a relationship so bad.
Yeah.
Like that was what I always wanted. I always wanted to be in that. Like I didn't care. I wanted to be in a relationship. And there was one point I remember I was talking to my friend and I was like, my relationships only last a week. And it's like, yeah, because you're in fucking middle school, dumbass.
You are so like I remember watching like those dating shows on MTV and just being like, oh my God, I want to date, and you want to get a girlfriend, and then you get like any sort of semblance of like some girl likes you or some guy likes you, and then you don't know what to do,
Exactly,
and you completely blow it because you're just
Both of you
scared.
do.
Yeah, both of you do. It's because you're just not ready yet.
Yeah. Middle school's terrible.
Yeah, middle school's awful, and I can't wait to watch my daughter suffer through it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Ooh.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to mention about this movie?
No, not really.
Yeah, we thought this would be the perfect follow-up for My Girl,
Yes.
which is another coming-of-age tale that's a little bit more uplifting.
A little bit, a lot more. This one is a lot more raunchy,
Yes, definitely.
which I think it's fun. I like watching raunchier. Not raunchy. This isn't. Well, I guess it kind of is, but I think what I liked about this movie is it feels more real.
Yeah.
Like My Girl is so
Idyllic.
yes, like this. Oh well, I mean, yeah, she's dealing with a bunch of death all around her, and her dad neglects her. But
How many kids do you know that grew up in a mortuary? You know, I
Not
don't
a
think it's a very relatable movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I grew up in a mortuary. I'm kidding.
Sorry, all you listeners who grew up in. I'm sure like 95% of our listeners are mortuary service people. Sorry, my father was a mortuary person, and my grandfather was and my great grandfather.
I still live in the same mortuary that my great grandfather built for us. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Dollhouse, 1995. It starts with opening credits. It opens up on a family portrait. You know, tons of people have a portrait like this up in their house.
Yeah,
And
we
the
have
credits, Yeah. The credits are just rolling over it. And then after that, it doesn't stay in the house, weirdly, and it goes to a lunchroom.
Yeah, and we see the main character Dawn. So, well, on the picture it focuses on Dawn, and then it goes into the cafeteria.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
Dawn, the first note I put was that she was the Princess Diaries actress. She was in the Princess Diaries.
Yeah, this is a good way for her to start off her career. She's been in a lot of stuff after this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's never really been a lead, but she has worked a lot. You remember that movie Devil's Advocate? Mm-hmm. She was in that. And she was just like a little kid who is testifying in court about being molested by her teacher.
Oh,
Fun role, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then she can't find a place to sit in the lunchroom. So she's walking around, and it's like that scene from Forrest Gump where the kids won't let them sit down on the bus, and they're like, seats taken.
Yeah. So, she kind of is scared to ask anyone to sit. But then she sits in front of this girl. She asks, can I sit here? And she goes, I don't remember what she says exactly, but.
She says, or she just sits down.
No, she asks,
Oh.
can I sit here?
And I think the little girl says somebody barfed there.
Well, she says, if you want to. And then like a couple seconds later, she said, someone barfed there in fourth period.
Oh.
So she like kind of set her up to sit in the barf. And then some cheerleaders come up and like taunt her.
Yeah, they just
ask
go,
if she's a lesbo.
Yeah. Which is very middle school bullying type of thing. Like, I've probably got asked multiple times just randomly, like, are you gay?
Really?
Yeah. It just,
No one ever asked me if I was a lesbo.
Really? I swear, maybe it's just a boy thing, but the amount of times that I got called gay in middle school is just
I'm not
I couldn't even
surprised.
begin to count. It's to the point where I just like I didn't even care after a while. I was like, yeah, I'm totally gay. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I know my brother Matt was called gay a lot, but he
Oh, yeah.
was gay. They could smell it a mile away.
oh,
But I don't know if my other brothers ever like had to that, because there's a brother in between me and my oldest brother. I don't know if he kind of I don't think he dealt with that.
I hope not.
I think I want to like there were times when people would be like, "Oh, your brother's gay," but I think it was easier to pick on my other brother than to pick on
Yeah.
the one in between us. So, so yeah, they're calling, and then everyone just starts yelling that she's a nerd.
Yeah, they call her like
call her
lesbo and nerd and
and then so she's walking in the hall, and there's this bully, and he's like picking on this little boy.
yeah. And I don't know if that was her friend. Or
Yeah, it
not.
was.
It was.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know, but it was like a boy who was like smaller than like that group of bullies. He was real small and kind of nerdy looking. And then she's like, "Hey, leave him alone." Tries to stand up for him, and then when they go away, he's just like, "Get away from me, wiener dog."
Yeah.
So the kid who she
Is
tried to
being
help
bullied.
just is like, "I don't even like you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the nerd doesn't like her. And then we is this someone we're at the school again, like with the test, or is that
No,
later?
this is she's at home with her. We get
Yeah.
introduced to her family.
And her little sister's like in the front yard dancing around in a tutu. And her little sister comes in, and her sister asks her for something, and then she calls her or she's like, "You're not supposed to drink in the TV room."
Yeah.
And she calls her little sister a
she's
lesbo.
like, "Get out of here, lesbo." And then her sister goes and tells her mom, and she gets in trouble. And the little sister just plops down where she was sitting and
watches
watching
TV.
Yeah.
Change the channel to some doll infomercial. Did you ever watch infomercials?
Yeah.
I watched them all the time.
Yeah. I watched infomercials because sometimes it was the only thing on.
Yeah, that was a really funny little moment. I was like, that's very 90s. I'm going to sit down and watch infomercials
Yeah,
of
especially-
dolls.
If you were home in the middle of the day, it might really be the only decent thing on. Like, I'd rather watch that than a soap opera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she gets in trouble, and someone calls, I think, and or like her.
No, they're sitting in class now, and this is when Brandon is
doesn't
trying-
someone call, and she's like, Dawn can't come because she's in trouble.
Oh, yeah, she's being
Her little
punished.
sister, she's being punished. That's what her little sister says.
Yeah.
So you can already set up that her little sister gets whatever she wants,
Yeah.
and her
And-
word is taken for gold, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Her, like, whatever she says is taken as true.
truth.
And,
If Dawn says something, it's like, I don't think that's true, actually.
yeah. And she's definitely an antagonist to the
Yeah.
girl. And then her older brother, while is not very nice to her, is somewhat of a guiding for her because she'll ask him questions like, what's it like in high school or
Yeah.
something like that. So he is sort of her only lifeline in the family because her mom and dad are always mad at her. So Brandon, this is when we introduce. Well, I guess we don't. He was bullying that kid earlier, but
Yeah.
he's trying to copy her answers.
They're in class.
Yeah,
And he's trying to copy her answers, and she's trying to cover it, but to no avail. He's still getting her answers down. So she raises her hand, and she kind of tells, she's like, Brandon's trying to take my answers. And the teacher, instead of being like, hey, Brandon, stop or move, says, okay, well, you both have to come into detention.
Yeah.
Which is, I was like, that teacher's a fucking bitch.
Yeah, but that happens.
I do that
in
shit all the
school.
time. I'm kidding.
That happens in school all the time. It's like, I didn't even do anything wrong, and you're making me apologize to this kid.
Well, sometimes it's hard to see like what actually was happening. So,
Yeah.
but that teacher was a fucking bitch. Like,
Yeah.
nobody likes this girl.
Yeah, they want you to know that no one's on her side for any reason ever. So then she goes into the bathroom, and the kid is in there from earlier.
That girl.
Yeah, the girl who told her she was sitting in barf, and she's
she
like,
comes in and washes her hand. And she opens up the stall door, and she says, "You didn't come in here to wash your hands." And she goes, "Yes, I did. My hands were dirty. I was coming in to wash them. You came in here to take a shit."
Yeah.
And she forces her to take a shit in front of her.
Yeah, she's like, you're not gonna get to leave until you take a shit.
No girl would ever fucking do that.
I know. I don't think anybody would do that. That's terrible. But
I feel like a boy would do that. I don't feel like a girl would do that.
I don't know.
Even
nothing like that even close to happening to me.
I don't know.
But to me or anybody I know, I've never been like anybody say like when in the bathroom anybody's like talking to each other and being like, I don't know. I feel like being bullied in a bathroom is a thing that happens in a movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, she pushes her down inside a stall, and she's like, I'm going to sit here and watch you take a shit.
Yeah, so gross.
Yeah.
And
But
so
then
then
she
we
gets
cut.
called in. They go to the principal's office, I think. No, this is not it.
No,
Man, my notes are not good.
I think they're in detention now. And so they're taking their test over again. And she goes up to her teachers and is like, I finished my test. And she gives her a D-. And she's like, a D-? Like, can I retake the test? Can I do something? I know it could do better. All of this is like not my fault. And she was like, you're a grade grubber. You need to write you're going to write a 1-page essay on
don't you have
dignity.
any dignity? You need to write a 100-word essay on dignity.
Such bullshit.
Yeah.
I bet that teacher doesn't have any dignity.
And then we cut to they're at home and she's hanging out with her friend who's a young boy and their ugly little clubhouse. And she's saying like, I hate my sister. And her friend's like goes, maybe she'll die.
Ooh.
And then she's like, not likely or something like that. And then they talk about the Special People's Club.
Yeah.
They have a club called the Special People's Club. And then he's like, we should ask people to join. And she's like, I don't want anybody to join.
Yeah. I just want it to be us.
Yeah.
In the club. Mm-hmm. So it sets up not very great that they have this like clubhouse.
Right.
Because honestly, they didn't set it up that it was in their backyard. I thought they were just like hanging out somewhere.
Oh.
But then she later on goes back into the house and her brother's talking about how he's starting this band. And we kind of get a hint of it earlier and they're really bad. They're playing.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the part that we skipped after the bathroom is they show him and his friends playing, but they have no lead singer and they're trying to play Satisfaction.
Yeah.
And it sounds terrible.
Yeah. But there's a drummer, a clarinet, and a piano.
Uh-huh.
So no guitar, no singer, and it's sounding like shit. Mm-hmm. But the brother mentions like, hey, like this kid,
Steve Rogers. Which is Captain America's real name, I think.
Oh. He's gonna join our band because if I can get him in our band, then we'll actually be able to like do stuff and maybe get some gigs somewhere. And then
Dawn does something mean to her sister. I forget what it was. Like calls her a name or something. And then her mom is like, you don't get to leave this table until you apologize.
Because earlier in detention, Brandon, the whole time they were taking the test, was mouthing "F you."
That's right. Yeah.
And so she was doing the same thing to her sister. So you kind of notice that Dawn isn't really a bad kid. She just sees other people do bad things, and she's like, okay, I can do that to my little sister.
It's a through line through the movie. Anytime somebody calls her something, she turns around and calls some other kid that.
Mm-hmm. Or her sister.
Yeah, or her
mostly
sister.
her sister.
Yeah, mostly her sister, but she calls her other friend the F word. The one for gay people, not fuck.
Yeah.
Because we would just say fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like the word fuck?
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah. So then it cuts to her just sitting at the table by herself, and her mom comes in there and is like, go to bed.
Yeah, she says, you need to say I love you before you can leave the table.
Yeah.
And so, because everyone's like, well, Missy loves you and everyone loves you. You need to tell her that you love her back. And and
the little girl, to make matters worse, is like, I love you.
Yeah.
And it's clearly like,
faking it.
Fake little kid stuff. Fake apologies.
The girl that plays Missy, she does a really great job.
Yeah. I think she continued to work after this. I meant to look that up, but
Daria
I forgot.
Killeen.
Yeah, you can look it up if you want, but I think she continued to work because she does look really familiar, and she's great in this. I think all the kid actors did pretty well. Maybe the older brother, he's kind of flat, but maybe he was directed to be that way. I don't know. But then they show the next day she's in her room sawing the head off of a Barbie.
Yeah.
And it's her little sister's Barbie. And then she hears a band playing downstairs, and now there is a nice voice coming out. Mm-hmm. And so she goes down to see, and Steve Rogers is there, and he's a good singer and a good guitar player. And I actually like the song. I want to know who wrote the songs for this movie, because I like the lyrics. I like the sound of it. It kind of reminded me of The Doors.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know? Are you a fan of The Doors?
I don't know if I would say I'm a fan. I've heard of some of their stuff.
I like some of their songs. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of the band. Like Jim Morrison is probably one of the most annoying people in the world.
I don't know.
He was the lead singer. He died when he was 27.
Oh. 27 Club. I'm sorry, I'm yawning. 27 Club.
27 Club.
You know what that is?
There's a bunch of famous people who died at 27?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
So you can tell that she is developing a crush on Steve.
Yeah. So she hears his music and she walks out and she kind of watches them. But the other thing that I really liked after she didn't say I love you is she started the next shot, and you were like, the costumes are great. And I was laughing, but it wasn't at the costumes. It was because she was sawing the top of the mermaid doll's head.
Okay.
That's what I was laughing at.
Okay. I thought so, but also like her outfits in this movie are
really fantastic.
I love it.
And the costumes, her costumes in this movie remind me a lot of like the things that me and my cousin had to wear.
Really?
We would wear whenever we were younger.
Oh, wow.
If you saw especially Tiff.
Maybe, I bet you that's what it's based on, because like I know when I look at pictures of my little kid self and what I was wearing, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you that's what the director was like. I want it to look like your middle school pictures.
Yeah. Or like really little kids.
Yeah.
Like,
because a lot of the kids are dressed pretty badly in this, especially the middle school kids. Then it cuts to her reading her essay in class. Mm-hmm. And then they go to a kidnapping assembly where some girl is talking about how she got kidnapped.
Yeah.
And kids are shooting spitballs at her and calling her lesbo and all that.
And she spits a spitball trying to spit it back at Brandon, but she misses and hits some lady in the eye.
Yeah, she hits a teacher, I guess.
Yeah. And so she's then she's in the office
with
her
this
parents.
Is when she goes to the principal's office.
And you can see behind the principal, Brandon and the other bully boys are like taunting her and flipping her off.
Yeah.
through the window.
I also think it's really funny that her parents do not back her up at all.
Exactly,
Her
yeah.
mother is just like, she has no friends. She's a loser. And I was like, wow.
She's such a loner.
Yeah.
And then she's
I
like,
really
I do
hated
have
her
a friend.
mom.
It's this kid. And she's like, exactly. Point made.
Yeah. And then,
But also, I noticed that Donna's the only one that ever gets caught in anything.
right.
That's what it seems like. I mean, it's not until later that Brandon gets caught, but
Yeah.
everyone else is just
Yeah. Everybody else just seems to be getting away with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon gets away with a lot of stuff.
a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and then at the end, they say, like, the thing that he got kicked out of school for wasn't even him.
What isn't even what he was doing.
Yeah. Which I do believe him. In that.
Yeah. So Dawn starts talking to her brother because whenever she's at her house, there's times where Steve Rogers comes in, and so she'll like try to.
Because her brother is tutoring him so that he can pass his computer science class.
So I guess he's tutoring him so that he could be in the band.
Yeah. So it's quid pro quo. It's like, hey, if you tutor me and help me pass computer science, I'll be in your band.
Yeah.
Right. And so one day he's there, and she goes into her brother's room, and he's like, oh, hey, you're his sister, right? You go to what does he say?
I can't remember.
Frank something.
Whatever. Middle
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. And he tells her, like, yeah, it sucks, but, it's only 3 years. And
Yeah.
so she's like, oh, he's kind of cool. And, like, he's not into her in any way.
Yeah. But
You know?
she's super into him.
Yeah. And so it's not inappropriate or anything. He's just like, I'm going to be nice to this girl. Because he does seem like kind of a nice guy, but is obsessed with hooking up with girls.
Yeah. So later on, when he leaves, she talks to her brother and she's like, hey, well, tell me about Steve. Like, and he's like, he's a horn dog and all he wants to do is have
Yeah.
sex with people. And she was like, oh, well, would he like, and he's like, he wouldn't, I don't think he says he wouldn't have sex with you, but she's like, well, I'm not asking for
Well,
me.
she's like, what, you're saying he'll have sex with anybody? And then he's like, yeah. And then she's like, even ugly girls? And he's like, you remember that girl who's this? And
Yeah.
she's like, yeah. I was like, he had sex with her. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, what about someone who's younger? And he's like, well, remember this other girl? Go ask him about
Ginger,
her.
yeah.
And he, it's
and
like,
she's like, Ginger's in my was in my PE class.
Yeah.
So they're in the same grade.
Yeah.
And
well,
he's like, yeah, well, they had.
no, I think that because you have PE with older and younger kids.
In middle school?
Yeah.
I
'cause
didn't.
Oh, well, anyway, I did. So I'm thinking that other girl was a few years older than her. Because if they were in the same grade, she would have been like, I know her. Right? And then it was a few years before. So I
Maybe.
would say like her and Steve are probably like 2 years apart, which is a lot when you're in school.
Yeah.
Like I remember being a senior and being like, I'm not going to date a sophomore. That would be weird, maybe 1 year younger than you.
And then you marry someone that's 9 years younger than you.
Yeah, but you were 21 and
I
I,
know,
was
yeah.
30. But that is like one grade level is
Yeah.
a lot, but like, yeah, it
You
feels
say that,
weird
and
even
all
on
of my boyfriends were older than me, except for one of them.
But how much older?
My first one was 3 years older than me.
Yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
weird. That's weird to me.
The second one, 3 years older than me.
Yeah,
Third one, a year younger. Last one, or I don't know. Yeah, they were all, all my high school boyfriends were, except one of them were older than me. Not good.
no,
Not good.
I would say no.
Not good.
Yeah, in high school, I'm gonna be like, Joliet, don't date anybody who's more than 1 year older than you.
Yeah.
When you're a full grown adult, then
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah. So anyway,
Even
I like
when you're an adult.
I like the way
if you have
the brother
be
in this
wary.
is that he's doing that thing where he doesn't want to be like, yeah, he fucked her. He's like, go talk to her, you know. He didn't mean actually go talk to her. It was a figure of speech. But then
she
it cuts
actually
to
goes.
she's in the parking lot of this like 7-Eleven and she sees this girl.
She's like laying on a car and this guy's kissing her and he's
Yeah.
like, wait here.
Yeah.
I'll be back. And so she's like laying on this car and so she goes up to her and she's like, hey Ginger, did you do anything with Steve? And she's like, what? And he was like,
What did he say about me?
Yeah. I don't know if she was trying to be like, keep it hush hush, or if it was.
She just wanted to know if Steve was like lying about them being like doing something that they didn't do.
Okay. Well, I mean,
because that's what I got. Because like,
yeah, I didn't know if it was that or if it was like, I wanna like. I didn't know if it was like, where did you hear that from? Like, did someone?
I think it was both.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just didn't know what the message behind it was.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think she just wanted to know if like he was lying and like who she was gossiping with. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I mean, that's what I would want to know. Right.
Yeah. So, because it doesn't seem like she's like, oh, like, is he still talking about me? It doesn't seem like that, but I just didn't know like what her motive behind that was.
Yeah. And she's like, did you guys date? And it's like, yeah, for like 2 days, but all we did was finger fuck.
All he did was finger bang me.
Yeah. I think they said
maybe he
finger,
said finger
fucked.
fuck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then it cuts to Dawn, and she's in
her
the bathroom.
in the mirror.
She's looking in the mirror, and she just holds like her hand up.
Finger fucked.
And she's like thinking, like you can tell what she's thinking about. And then her sister knocks on the door, and she's like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Yeah.
Or she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Mind your own business."
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Steve comes back over for tutoring, but Dawn is the only one there.
Also, she makes a shrine of Steve.
Oh, that's right. She makes a little shrine to Steve.
So yeah. And then after this is when we are at school, and this is the first time that Brandon kind of mentions that he's gonna rape her. So like he comes up to her and he's like, "Hey, at 3:00 I'm gonna rape you." And so Dawn is just like going out throughout the day, and you see her in like the cafeteria, in the library, and all these places, and everywhere she goes, he's there watching her.
Yeah, this doesn't happen quite yet.
Oh, is there something?
But it's all right. It doesn't matter. But anyway, he comes over and she makes food and for him and plays the piano.
I thought that was before.
No, it's
this.
in order in my notes. It's before.
Okay.
Just trust me, will you?
I trust you.
For
Go.
once in your life, Aaron, will you trust me?
I mean, I trust you.
You're always looking over my shoulder.
Well, I need to.
So he comes back over and she makes food for him. She's like, we've got some fish sticks and like, I don't know, Kool-Aid or something. I forget.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
and
like,
it's such a kid meal.
yeah, it is. But I mean, she's in middle school. She doesn't really know how to
Exactly.
cook. But he's like,
She's
whatever.
like, I can make Jell-O.
Yeah. And he's just kind of being like, you know, typical high school guy. It's like, oh, and I think he steals some money off the table.
Does he? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, maybe I saw it wrong. But she's like, look, I can play the piano for you.
Yeah.
Because she knows he's a musician. And she plays. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty good. You should give the guy in your brother's band lessons.
Yeah. But the whole point of it is so she can kind of show him her hands. Like she wants to like have him look at her hands. I think it's because of the finger fucking part.
Oh.
She kept like, look at my hands. Like she kept doing that.
Well, I do really like there's a part where she goes, well, I sprained my finger yesterday.
Yeah.
And you know it was because she was trying stuff on herself, right?
Oh, yeah.
What she was doing in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. It took me a couple of times watching the movie before I picked up on that. Because it's not very pointed.
Yeah.
But then he's like, okay, well, I got to go.
Well,
then-
that's when Yeah, and that's when her brother.
Yeah, that's when her
pulls
brother
up.
shows up.
And he's like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "I was grocery shopping with my mom and my sister."
Yeah. And then that's when she makes the shrine that we already talked about. And then they're outside in the garage practicing again, and we hear the song that is the title.
Dollhouse. Welcome to the dollhouse.
Welcome to the dollhouse. I got it all set up for you.
Yeah. Also, did you notice that the girl that bullies her at the beginning and asks or tells her to like let her see her shit? Her name is Lolita.
Yeah.
Terrible name for a kid.
Yeah, well, I think it's a reference to that book, Lolita.
Yeah.
And I think they didn't have a real name for her, so they just started calling her Lolita in the script. Because there's a part where they're in the library, and Brandon is looking at Dawn, and that girl goes up to him and was like, "Oh, you want to come over to my house later?"
Yeah. Well, there's one point where she goes up to Dawn and she's like, "Brandon's mine."
Yeah, that's right.
After he says that he's going to rape her, that whole day, he's been staring at her all day, and then she goes up to her and she says, "Brandon's mine." And then after that is when they're in the library and she's like, "You want to come to my house?" And he's like, "Leave me alone."
Right.
And so we hear the bell ring, and she.
Let's skip
okay,
ahead.
okay.
So they're singing that song, and then her brother is like, "Hey, Steve, you're flat." And they're like playing A for him. And so he storms off, and he's like, "I'm quitting the band."
And she's like, "No, you can't quit."
Yeah. And then it goes to the gas station, and she has a run-in with Brandon while they're playing the video game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the part that you like where the kid says, "You think you're hot shit, but you're just cold diarrhea." Which I remember hearing it when I was a kid as, "You think you're hot shit on a silver platter, but you're just cold diarrhea on a paper plate."
Ew, gross. I've never heard that ever.
Yeah. Well, I did. I heard it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Good
cool.
for you.
Yeah, good for me. I'm cool.
Maybe
I know shit jokes.
They said that you were hot shit on a silver platter.
You think someone said that to me?
Yeah.
Well, I was like, "Joke's on you. I already know I'm cold diarrhea."
I've been told that my whole life.
Yeah. And then it cuts to them at school, and Brandon, a girl is saying like, "Oh, I'm going to have a birthday party. If I invited you to my birthday party, don't forget to bring your suits because we're going to go swimming."
That's not until way later.
No, it is.
That's not until after they...
No, and then he's like, "I didn't get invited to your birthday party," and he tries to give her the cookie.
But they haven't gone to the house. They already went to the house by this point. Because the next thing I have is that kid says he's going to rape her at 3:00.
Yeah, because that happens pretty soon.
Yeah. Is that what? Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, because he's upset that he got rejected by this girl, and she's like, "You just saved your cookie for me. You didn't even like pay money for it or anything."
But I thought they had already gone together and had that moment. And then that's whenever he says that he's going to... Well, that's the third time. Like, that's later.
No.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know why. I take these notes in order. I don't know why you argue with me.
Okay.
Sometimes I do get mixed up because my notes are bad. I'm a bad note taker. But I'm pretty sure I'm right this time. They go to the gas station, and he gets mad at her at the gas station because she calls him a retard. Mm-hmm. Right? Sorry for using that word, but that's what they say in the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's important later. So then the whole thing with the cookie happens. He gets mad, and then he tells her, "I'm going to rape you at 3:00. Mm-hmm. So school's over, and she like tries to leave without running into him. but he jumps out and like pulls her aside.
At the door.
Yeah, and he
And he
holds
pulls
her.
a knife on her.
Yes, and the whole rape thing is it's probably the most disturbing thing in this whole movie, especially if you've never seen it before and you don't know that it never happens, and that he's just an angry kid who's acting out. Right? I knew that, but you didn't, and I heard you audibly gasp when he says it, because it is like I'm like I was worried, and our daughter was watching this with us too, so I was a little bit worried about when that part came up. And then the garbage guy, like, what do you call those guys? A custodian? He comes to throw away garbage, so she runs off.
Yeah. So he like has to separate from her.
Yeah.
And she goes away.
So is there anything you want to say about this scene?
That it was done very realistically.
No,
I
I
don't
just
know
like
what you mean.
I just thought you might have something to say about this as a woman who has probably at some point in your life dealt with
This
sexual
was done
assault.
very realistically, and I can see why people would be disturbed by this,
Right.
because like this legit happens all the time to women.
Okay. All right. I just knew you'd have something to say.
Okay.
But anyway, so the garbage man comes and she runs off, and then it cuts to the anniversary party.
She talks to her parent.
Oh wait, no, they don't have the anniversary party. They
She-
talk about the anniversary
She's
party.
like, we're gonna do an anniversary party, and we all agree that we should have it here in the backyard. So, agreed that your brother's gonna play. His band is gonna play for us, and Steve is gonna join the band again because we're gonna pay him $200 fucking bucks.
Yeah.
But you also have to tear down your clubhouse. Mm-hmm. And
she's like, no, I'm not going to tear down my clubhouse, and that's final. She's not even going to consider it. And then her mom's like, okay, and she goes and gets chocolate cake, but she won't give any to Dawn.
yeah,
But she won't say why exactly. I don't remember her saying why. But it's like implied that, look, you can have this chocolate cake if you let us tear down the clubhouse. Mm-hmm. And then she won't budge, so she gives her chocolate cake to her brother and her sister.
yeah. Her mom is very narcissistic and a manipulative person.
Her mother is awful. I hate her mom in
Yeah.
this. Yeah, and she probably thinks she's a good parent, but she just treats her like garbage. All narcissistic parents have a golden child.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious that her sister is the golden child.
Yeah, her younger sister.
Her younger sister, yes.
So she's all the other kids are eating her cake, and then we cut back to school the next day again.
Well, no, first she gets a phone call, and the mom answers the phone, and she's like, okay, who's this for? It's like, Dawn? Okay. And then it turns out it's Brandon.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to let anybody know what he's doing.
Well,
So
he says, like, if you tell anyone, something else is going to happen. I can't
Okay.
remember what, but he made it to seem like, don't tell anyone that I said this. Or,
yeah, well, she's not letting on what's going on.
yeah. Well, she's scared, which I
Yeah.
totally get.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, she's not.
This was played very believable, too.
Yeah, what the way she's talking on the phone is so that nobody knows what is really happening, like what the phone call is really about. And then so the next day they're at the dumpsters again because he says just to meet her there, and she just shows up,
Yeah.
right?
I think she's like, I'm not going to be able to get around it. Like, I
Right.
have to
Yeah, I have to face him.
face it. So she goes there, and he's like, what time do you have to be home? And she tells him 4:30 or something like that. And so he like forces her to go, like,
he's like,
lead
yeah,
her.
he's like, come with me, and they go to some, dilapidated abandoned house or
Yeah.
something.
And so Brandon starts smoking. I don't know what.
A cigarette, and he's like, do you want to smoke? And she's like, no, I don't smoke. But she says, this was one of the funny lines. Of it. She's like, but I think marijuana should be legalized.
Yeah, and he's like, why do you always have to be he says something to her.
He calls her the C word. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah. She's like, I don't mean to be. Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, it's just so obvious that this poor girl is like,
she just wants to fit in so bad.
Yeah, and she's getting all this negative attention from this boy, but it's better than getting no attention.
Yeah.
Which is what she's used to getting. Mm-hmm. So she's like, whatever. She wants to be liked by him.
Yeah. So he kisses her, and he's like, "Don't ever tell anyone about this."
Well, he says, I got a brother, and she's like, no, I didn't know that you had a brother. And he's like, well, he's mentally handicapped, and basically that's why he got so mad at her.
Mm-hmm. When she called him the R word.
And she's like, well, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, it's not that big a deal. He's a tough kid.
He could probably beat you up.
Yeah, he could beat you up if he wanted, which I also laughed at.
Mm-hmm. But he kind of kisses her, and she's like, are you going to rape me today? And he's like, what time do you have to be home? And she's like, probably not for a little while. And he's like, probably not today.
He's like, there's not enough time.
I don't think he actually wanted to.
No, he doesn't want to. He doesn't know how to talk to girls.
Yeah.
Right. And he tried with that other girl to be nice, but that didn't work. Mm-hmm. So he's just a kid who's like acting out. And later, they hint at like he's got a handicapped brother. Mm-hmm. And then we'll see what his home life is later. So they slowly reveal where this is coming from.
Because what I remember is the next day is when she says that she's going to have this birthday party. And this is when he gives the cookie. He tries to give her the cookie. But she doesn't want it. She's like, this is just a cookie. You didn't even pay for this. And then doesn't he give it to Dawn?
Yeah.
Because this is like him being like, okay, I know that you'll, here, you take the cookie.
Oh, yeah.
And she accepts it.
Okay, so I got it backwards.
Thank you. Okay. Anyways.
But it would make the podcast better if you just didn't argue with me. So.
Or you with me.
I'm not arguing. I was saying I'm going off my notes. And you don't take notes scene by scene. I do. So just saying. It'd make the podcast better if you just didn't argue with me.
Anywho, so
yeah, this is actually when they say that Steve will play for money, and then the clubhouse comes back, and then the cake thing.
Yeah.
So we got that out of order too. And then she's hanging out with Steve, and they're looking at pictures of him.
Mm-hmm. His girlfriend over the summer took pictures of him, and so you see she's still, even though Brandon is kind of pursuing her, she's still in love with Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't really. I don't think she ever really likes Brandon.
She doesn't.
She's just like, this is the only
attention I'm getting.
Yeah.
So she's looking at his pictures, and then her brother comes in, and he's like, get out of my room. And this is kind of a point where Steve kind of stands up for her, and he tells her brother, hey, let her be in your room. You don't have to be such a fascist. Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of like, whatever. And so I don't really know what the tune, what comes out of that, really.
No, it's just she's happy that
he stood up for her.
She thinks he is. He's really just mad that this guy who's tutoring him is a nerd. Mm-hmm. He's not really standing up for her, but she sees it that way.
Also that he's forcing, this is when he reveals that whenever he gets, he's like, I just need $200 and I'm going to go to New York.
Oh yeah, that's
and make
right.
it big. So this is where it's revealed that, but also it's kind of showing that his disdain for this guy that he has to do this stupid band with because he's a jerk. even though he's a nerd.
Yeah, and it also reveals that he's just playing them to get,
The money.
get the money so he can take off. And then this is the part with the B-Day the birthday that I already talked about. And he tries to give her the cookie, but it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And then he gets mad at Dawn. But then they're hanging out at the clubhouse at night.
Yeah, she brings him to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And they're hanging out together.
And
Because this is the last night the clubhouse is going to be there.
Yeah. And I think that kid's name is Ralphie, her actual friend. And he's like, why do you hang out with that, F word? And she goes, just because he's an F doesn't mean he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Which, hey, kind of right.
Yeah.
True. And then she's like, I hate to break this to you, but you're really cool, but
I'm in love with another man.
I'm in love with another man, and he's in high school.
And he's like, what's his name? And she's like,
you wouldn't know him.
You wouldn't know him. You wouldn't know him. What's his fucking name? So he's real upset about it all.
And this is the part that I was telling you about earlier where he storms off and she's like, wait, Diane, we still have some yodels left.
Oh.
And he pushes her to the ground. And her friend Ralphie comes up because I guess he was just hiding in the bushes or something. And
spying on her?
Yeah. Then she calls him an F word and runs inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Why
then
was he at her house?
yeah, that was weird. But maybe he was there because he thought maybe Brandon would try something. We don't know. But anyway, then there's the anniversary party. Mm-hmm. And she's in her room watching it all through the window. And she's wearing her craziest outfit of the whole movie, I want to say.
But everyone else is downstairs having a blast, and she's upstairs. And there's even one point where they're singing this song, and they're naming all of the kids, and they even say Dawn's name, and they're like, "Where is Dawn?" And they're just like, "Whatever."
Yeah.
So it's just showing like they don't really care if she's not there.
Yeah. And then after the party, she's looking around for Steve, and she can't find him. But finally, she finds him in the garage. And he's been in there hooking up with some girl. And she's like, hey, do you want to be my first honorary member of the Special People Club? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, you know what special people means.
The R word.
Yeah, the R word.
So you have a club for the R word.
Yeah.
And which is terrible.
Yeah. So I guess at this point, she's like, okay, Steve never
really cared about
me. I was just sort of misinterpreting what was going on.
And so it's school the next day, and so she's trying to look after Brandon. Like every time she looks in his direction, he kind of looks away. He seems really upset with her about everything, and you think it's about this, but then they're sitting in class, and also previously in a couple of scenes earlier, there was one point where there was an announcement. It was like, there have been drugs being sold in the boys' bathroom.
Yeah.
If we find out it's you, then you're blah, blah, blah. You're going to be in big trouble or whatever.
Yeah. But also I want to mention real quick, after the anniversary party, they're watching the video of the anniversary party. And there's a part where the little sister pushes Dawn into a kiddie pool.
Yes. And they're like, we want to watch it again.
They all just laugh at her and then rewind it.
Yeah.
And then that night she gets up and she pulls a hammer out of her pillow. Mm-hmm. And she goes downstairs and smashes the tape.
Yeah.
And then she comes back upstairs and she wants to like smash her little sister's face in.
Sister.
But she decides not to. And she puts the
She's
pillow.
like, you have it so good.
Yeah. Oh, man. We both had siblings that had it easy. Mm-hmm. And we were the ones who got ignored.
Yeah.
I always like to refer to my
I wouldn't say I was ignored. I was purposefully focused on in a negative way.
Oh, okay. I just felt like an afterthought my whole childhood. Mm-hmm. So
I could see that.
Yeah. And then later, like my teen years, I would say I got bullied by my own father. But what are you going to do?
Yep. So they're sitting in their classroom and there's these cops and the principal come up and they're like, "Oh, we need to see Brandon." So Brandon's taken away to the cops. So you're like, "What the hell did Brandon do?" It doesn't click later until later on whenever she goes to see him what happened.
Right.
Or why he was being arrested.
Well, I mean, I figured it had something to do with the announcement about finding drugs in the
I completely
bathroom.
forgot about the
Oh,
announcement.
you did? I assumed it was something about that. And so he leaves and she doesn't get to see him, so she never gets to like find out what happened or why he's still mad at her. And then she's at home and her friend Ralphie calls her and her sister, he tells her sister like, "Hey, just tell him I'm punished or something."
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk to him.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I don't." And then it goes to Ralphie from his point of view, and he can hear them fighting over the phone.
Yeah, and you hear her calling him the F word and how he's the R word and all of these negative I can't think of the word.
Pejoratives.
Yes, pejoratives.
Yeah.
And so she then I feel like the party didn't happen until later because then after the party is when she goes to
No, it definitely happened already.
Okay. Well, what happens to send her to go to Brandon's house?
I don't remember. We'll get to it.
I know. Yeah.
But anyway, this is the part of the movie where her sister goes missing. Her that right before they have that fight, her mom's like, "Give your sister this note." And instead of giving it to her, they fight, and her sister goes to dance class and then never comes back.
And the note is supposed to be that she needs to come home with Miss whatever her name is.
I don't remember.
The lady that drops her off at dance class also needs to bring her home from dance class
Yeah.
because her husband's car got messed up or something.
Yeah. So anyway, the next scene is that there's a bunch of cops at their house investigating and trying to figure out what happened to their sister. And he asked them like they asked the cop like, "Are you think you're gonna find her?" And the cop just like looks at them for a long time and doesn't say anything.
Well, yeah, because they were talking to each other about it, and then the cop sits down, and then they ask that. So the cop's just kind of like, "Well, I probably shouldn't sit here with them."
Yeah. And they got to stay home from school that day.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then we find out the dad fell ill because his daughter's missing.
So he's completely. Everyone is just so distraught. The mom is freaking out and just completely like hysterical.
Yeah. Fully hysterical.
Her dad is sick because of it.
Yeah. And he's basically catatonic. He doesn't speak.
Yeah.
He's just laying in bed. And this is when she takes the opportunity to go see Brandon because she doesn't have school that day.
Yeah.
So she goes to see him and she goes up to her house and he lives in a much more ugly house, I guess you could say, in a poorer neighborhood. And his brother answers the door.
I thought it was his dad.
No, his brother
his
first.
brother answers first.
Yeah, and he's eating a sandwich or something and goes, "Hi, want a bite?" Which made me laugh. And then the dad comes and like shoos him away. And he's like, "What do you want?" And he's like, I want to talk to Brandon. He's like,
"Did you get pregnant?"
Yeah, he's like, "Would he knock you up or something?" And she's like, "No, my sister's missing, so I got the day off from school." And he's like, "You can go up and talk to him."
But you only have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So then we go upstairs and she's talking to Brandon. She's like, "What happened?" And trying to figure out. He tells her that they accused him of selling the drugs in the bathroom, but he wasn't even the one doing it. It was his friend.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, maybe I will start selling drugs," because his dad is going to send him away to some different type of school, I guess.
Yeah, it's probably, one of those alternative schools or
Yeah,
one of
that's what it
those
was.
drill sergeant schools that you used to see on Jenny Jones. Yeah. And I don't remember if he's like, you can come with me.
Yeah, he does. He's like, run away with me. And she's like, I can't do that. And he's like, okay, fine. And he runs away.
Yeah. And then he's never heard from again in the
Yep.
movie. I forgot about this, but the same director did a follow-up to this movie like 15 years later. Mm-hmm. And I think it was called Wiener Dog. And I watched it, but I can't remember what happens. But it catches up with the characters.
Oh, really?
Brandon and the girl. I want to watch it again now. But I forgot about that until just about we were about to record. So I didn't get to read about the movie. But anyway, it cuts to the dinner table, and it's just the mom and the two kids, and she gets a phone call saying that they found her tutu
In Times Square. She just starts screaming.
Yeah. And also, this movie takes place in New Jersey, which is, northern New Jersey is just like a hop, skip, and a jump away from New York City.
Yeah.
So they find it all the way in Times Square, and that's obviously a bad sign. So her mom starts crying hysterically.
And then this is kind of where Dawn's like, okay, well, I should take it upon myself to go find my sister.
But I also feel like it's partially she thinks she's going to run into Brandon or Steve while she's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. And also she kind of like, maybe I'll be a hero and my family will like me.
Yeah. Well, because then she's like going through the neighborhood and she's asking everyone, have you seen my sister? And everyone's like, no, yelling at her. And she's posting up pictures everywhere. Granted, some in one place too many times. It's like,
oh, do you know what Times Square was like in the 90s?
no.
It was like, that was where they would have all the porn theaters and strip clubs and stuff. Like, it was a real hellhole. So when they said that, I was like, oh, people think of Times Square now as like,
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Where they have all those weird advertisements and signs like a tourist attraction. But it used to be a real hellhole, even back in the 90s. So anyway, that means like, oh, the mother's probably thinking like, oh, she's being human trafficked or something like that. And then after she looks around in New York for a little bit, she sees a creepy guy running with her sister, and her sister's screaming,
Dawn, save me, Dawn, save me. And it's like, how did you know that your sister was here? So immediately it's like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Which was good. It was really good.
I like that it was just quick. That whole scene wasn't even a minute.
Yeah.
From when the dream started. But she runs down into the subway. The guy runs down holding her in the subway. And then she runs up to the top of the subway stairs and goes, let go of my sister. And then her sister comes running back up. And then she's like, thank you, I love you. And then
everyone that she's ever spoken to says, I love you, I love you.
Brandon, Steve, her parents.
The cheerleaders in the cafeteria.
Yeah, everybody's like, we love you, Dawn. Yeah. And then
she wakes up.
She wakes up on the sidewalk in New York, and no one is paying any attention to a kid asleep on the sidewalk in New York.
And so she gets on a payphone and she calls home and she's like, hey, and her brother answers like, oh, you're in big trouble. And she's like, I came to find Missy, see if she was in Times Square. And he's like, oh, well, she's back home. They found her. Mr.
Kadan or something like that. Something that starts with a K.
Yeah. Kidnapped her.
Yeah, and he was holding her.
Kasdan.
Yeah, Kasdan. And he was holding her in like some underground bunker that he built. And she's like, well, is she okay? He's like, yeah, all he did was make her dance. And she videotaped it. And he let her watch as much TV and eat all the candy she wanted.
Yeah,
so
she had
fine.
this dream time being kidnapped.
Yeah. And they show her sister a couple times after that, and she's like completely unfazed.
Yeah.
Which is a real funny thing. I think even in real life, this is the most unrealistic part. Mm-hmm. If anybody but your parents took you and locked you in a room somewhere, it would be extremely traumatizing. Yes. But they had to do it this way because it wouldn't have made sense for the movie.
Yeah. But so she's totally fine. Everyone that Dawn has ever liked or wanted to be around is kind of gone. everything is kind of normal. They're on the they go back home and they're like watching TV again in their TV room.
Well, she also has to speak at an assembly and tell everybody thank you for helping when my sister had gone missing and all that.
And everyone at the end of it starts yelling, "Wiener dog, wiener dog."
Yeah. And then they're at home watching TV, like you said, and they're like, "Hey, will you get us like drinks or whatever?"
Mm-hmm.
So they go into the kitchen to get them, and she tells her brother, like, "Is high school better?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's better. I mean, people still call you names, but not as much."
Yeah, it's not as bad.
And she's like, "I don't want to go to Disney World," because she's supposed to go to Disney World.
Being part of the Hummingbirds.
Yeah, and
it's like a choir group.
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't be silly. Like it'll look good for
your
college
resume," which he's said throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he's always like he thinks a lot about college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he says he doesn't want a girlfriend because he wants to make sure he gets in a good college, but it's just like he can't get a girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, doesn't he have a note?
Yeah, but
from a girl?
The way it read is like the relationship doesn't seem to be working out, and it's long distance. So
yeah,
I like that. She's like, "I'll be getting on email soon."
Yeah. So, Dawn is the last scene of this movie is Dawn on the bus, humming or singing to this hummingbird song.
Yeah.
On the way to Disney, and she's still freaking miserable.
Yeah, she has less friends because Ralphie probably doesn't like her anymore. Her family doesn't really like her. So.
And she's going to the happiest place on earth, and she's not happy.
That's funny that you put it that way. Yeah, but that's what I like about this movie. It feels true to life. It feels like what you dealt with when you were in middle school. I know I was very unhappy in middle school.
Yeah.
Both at home and at school.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was coming home to some great thing that I liked. And I'm sure it was the same for you.
Yeah. Very much so.
All right. So, Aaron, this is Slay the Cat. So, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, how many cat lives did this movie slay?
This movie slayed a firm 7 cat lives.
Nice.
I feel like the casting, like the actors did a pretty good job in this. All of the kid actors in this movie did a really great job. It feels very true to life. It is at times hard to watch because it does hit home at times. But I mean, I know that there would be people in my life that would be like, I cannot watch that at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I would even tell other people to watch it. But why would I give it less stars? 2 less stars? I feel like there's some parts that could have been explained better or kind of dealt with a little bit better. The budget wasn't very big for this movie, right?
No,
it was kind of
this
low
is
budget.
a very small budget.
So the quality of it looks like a home recording camera, which
it was probably
shot
16 millimeter.
So it wasn't shot great, but it was still watchable. I've seen way worse.
I've seen worse.
So yeah.
Okay.
But I thought the acting was fun. It was funny at times, but there's a lot of crude words being thrown around about people that I don't like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was really probably one of the thing that's aged the least well in this is that.
The language. So Joey, with my rating, ignoring that, tell me, what would you rate this movie? 1 to 9 slays or cat lives. Oh my gosh!
Wow, Aaron, you really stumbled through that. We do this every week. Come on.
I know.
Well,
we've done this 3 times this week.
For me, I've talked about my history with this movie. I saw it at a very young age. It had a big effect on me.
How old were you?
I
You
came
said you were in
out.
middle school,
It
right?
came out in '95, so I probably saw it about a year after it came out on video. So 6th grade, maybe going into 7th grade. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure, but I was the age of the kid in this movie,
Yeah.
and dealing with some of the same stuff. So it had a huge impression on me. I don't know if I can really be very, what's the word?
Critical?
Yeah, critical on a fundamental level because I just have too much of a personal connection with this movie. So I'm gonna say it's 8 out of 9 stars because I know it's not
Cat
perfect. 8 out of 9 cat lives were slain because I know it's not perfect. They are way too heavy-handed with the gay and mentally handicapped pejoratives in this movie, even though that is what I experienced when I was in middle
Yeah.
school. Just because it's real doesn't mean you have to do it in a movie. There's still plenty of real life stuff in this. And then maybe because the movie is structureless, it's more of a character driven movie.
Yeah.
But it is completely structureless. And it just ends and it just stops. So I don't know. Maybe it would be better if it had a more definitive ending.
Yeah.
Not an upbeat one. It shouldn't be upbeat. I like the fact that it ends on a very dissonant tone, but maybe a more definitive ending. But I don't know. I really love the movie, and I suggest everybody watch it, no matter how bad it makes you feel. Sometimes it's good to feel bad.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Cool.
All right, Aaron, I believe you have a game for me.
Yes. So the last thing that we're going to do before we leave you all is we're going to play a little game called Band in a Film. I don't know. Film bands. I haven't workshopped this.
What's that Beatles song, Band on the Run?
I have
Something
no
like-
idea.
No, that's the name of the song, Band on the Run.
I
but
have no
like,
idea.
Band on the film? Band on the 35 millimeter? I don't know.
I don't know. So what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you the name of a band, and these are all fake bands, and you have to tell me what movie it's from. Now, if I tell you the name of the band and
So these are all fake movie bands.
fake movie bands, I will tell you one of the characters in the band in the movie. Okay? And if you can't get from there, I'll tell you another character that's not in the band to help you with the movie part.
Okay.
Okay? So the first band is Pink Slip.
Pink Slip, the name of the band is Pink Slip.
Band's name is Pink
Oh
Slip.
boy, this sounds so familiar, but now Pink Slip.
I don't think you're going to get it.
I want to say it's like Grease or something.
No. That's
What?
the Pink Ladies. Okay.
No, but they would race for pink slips with
They
Grease
would
Lightning.
race, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no band in that. Well, there is a band, but it's not.
Yeah, you're right. There is no band in the movie.
Well, there is a band because they're at a dance at one point. And there's
Yeah,
a band,
yeah,
but it's not
but-
like a major part.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this movie, the band's lead singer is Lindsay Lohan,
Oh
or is
my
played by
God.
Lindsay Lohan.
The band's lead singer is played by Lindsay Lohan. All the Lindsay Lohan movies that I've seen and that I can think of don't have a band in it.
I don't know. Name a couple.
Well, Mean Girls, they sing in it, but they're not a band.
No.
I Know Who Killed Me. I don't think there's a band in that. I haven't really seen that many Lindsay Lohan movies, maybe.
Okay.
Give me another clue.
This movie also stars Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, Freaky Friday?
Freaky Friday.
I've never seen Freaky Friday.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, why would I watch that? That came
I
out
don't
when
know.
that came out when I was like 21. It's a kids movie.
Okay. So the next band are the Sex Bob-Ombs.
The Sex Bob-Ombs?
Yeah.
That is from Scott Pilgrim versus the World, right?
You are correct.
Yeah. Okay.
You are correct.
I like that movie.
Okay. Next band name, Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate. Wasn't there a rapper named Sexual Chocolate?
Maybe.
Oh man, I don't know.
Hold on.
Man, Aaron, you came up with some good ones. You're really getting me with these.
I need to see that.
You look like a broke ass sexual chocolate.
Okay. So Randy Watson
Oh, that sounds familiar too.
plays the lead singer in this band.
Randy Watson? Sexual chocolates. Randy Watson.
Sexual Chocolate.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I
Last
got
hint.
nothing. Okay.
Last hint.
All right, last one.
In the movie, there is also, it stars Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy? Oh, This Is Coming to America.
Yes, it
isn't
is.
Ah, yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Is that when they're eating at the family's house?
I have no idea.
Oh, my
I
God.
haven't seen that movie in a while. Okay.
Oh, her boyfriend is the singer of the band, right? The Jerry Curl guy?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that movie.
Okay. Next one, Steel Dragon.
Steel Dragon. I know this one. Oh, wait. No, I don't. No. Okay. No, I do. So it's that Mark Wahlberg movie, Rockstar. They are a cover band for Steel Panther, but they're the Steel Dragons,
Yes.
right? Oh my God. That
Yes.
movie sucks so
Rockstar.
bad. That movie is one of those movies that are like, it's fun to watch, even though it's really bad.
Okay. 2 more, and then we're done. This one might be a little challenging for you. The Soggy Bottom Boys.
Oh, I know this. It's easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I'm blanking on the name of the movie. The Coen Brothers movie where it's like the Odyssey. Mm-hmm. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, last one.
Yes.
Figrin Deanne and the Model Nodes.
Whoa. Say that all again?
Figrin Deanne and the Model Nodes.
I do not know.
Okay. It's hard to tell you who is in the band in the movie, but I can tell you who else is in the movie. So this might give you a big hint.
Okay.
Oh, shoot. Oh, my gosh. I can never remember his name.
Uh-oh, pregnant pause.
I can never remember his name, ever.
What is he in?
I don't want to say Indiana Jones.
Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is in this movie.
And, oh my God, he's been in so many movies.
It's not a...
And what's the name of the band again?
Figrin Deanne and the Model Nodes.
I'm just going to say that's the name of the band from Mos Eisley Cantina and Star Wars.
You are correct.
Ah, yes.
Good job.
That was just a shot in the dark. I'm not that big
It
on
says
Star Wars trivia.
Friggin' Deanne and the Model Nodes, aka Cantina Band. Star Wars franchise.
Well, Aaron, that was a fun game.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do that one again for sure. Okay, well, that is going to be it for us here at Slay the Cot, a movie podcast.
Slay the Cot.
Slay the Cot. If you want to write into us about anything and everything, it's joeyanderinpod@gmail.com.
Look at it in the description.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to slay and neuter your cats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.